What would you say is your most important video ever? If you could narrow it down.
Oh my goodness, it is really difficult because every one that I'm doing, I'm always most excited about. Every new one, I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. This is really good. This is like, I'm excited by all of them that I'm researching and recording. Because there's always something, but I think for me, they all connect. And even though I don't even realize it at the time, when I look back, I see the connection. And so in honesty, I'm just following the flow of where it takes me. I'd love to be able to say I'm really ordered and I have a checklist of all the things that I'm going to do. And I do. I have a very loose line of videos that I want to record, all topics that I want to talk about. But then the moment will just take me and I will be like, this, I need to write about this. I need to do this. I need to research this. And that's sort of how it happens. So I honestly, I'd love to be able to say to you, that one is my favorite. But because for me, they're one piece of work.
Okay, how about instead of your favorite, what would be maybe one that would be best for people to watch first?
I just looking at the stats, I would say that the most people are really, really fascinated by the Cathars.
Uh-huh.
And I think that is a really good opening one because one, it's a piece of history that people aren't necessarily aware of, or some people are aware of it and they're fascinated by or intrigued or feel so much, actually they have so much empathy for that situation. And there's with those, there's lots of different political reads, there's lots of reads on it. There's the idea that this group of people, regardless of their beliefs, this group of people were seen to be outside the norm and therefore needed to be removed and silenced. Where else are we seeing
I
that?
do want to revisit that topic a little bit later in the
Yes.
podcast if we have time. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, that's this group of people that need to be silenced. Where have we seen that happen before?
yeah, and are we seeing it again? Yeah.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, so some people will say, oh, it was a land grab. Yep, still wrong.
Yeah.
You know, if it was because of their religious beliefs, still wrong. For what happened. And some people will say, I've had some emails, that's not what happened, that's not true. Well, the inquisitors documented, because if they were anything, they were excellent at keeping records. In fact, they are the basis of the record keeping that we keep now.
Mm.
So what they created, the structure of how they created and how they looked at the different networks of people who was connected to that neighbor, to that neighbor, to find information. Where are we seeing that now?
Right.
So that was the beginning. We just do it in a different way now. We do it with technology now rather than lots of conversations. So I think that one is possibly one of the most powerful videos, in the sense that it gets people feeling something, whether they have high empathy, whether they resonate, whether they are sorrowful for those people that sort of went through that, whether they see it as the system suppressing the groups, the smaller groups, whether they see it as a religious aspect, because the Cathars, the Perfecti, were a form of Christian, but they just weren't following the orthodoxy of that the church was trying to create at that time. And so I think that pulls on people in lots of different ways. And that is the idea, that I'm not saying you must believe this. I'm saying look at what the history tells us, make up your own mind from that, and then look to see where else you can see that in history. And there's so much. There's so much. It's a pattern.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I love a pattern.
Your videos, I find, are very direct and real, very much like this, actually. You just talk directly, pure substance. What kind of responses are you getting from people?
The majority are wonderful, really, really wonderful. I'm not going to lie. There are some comments, because I am human. there are some comments which I think people are, and I think maybe this is something that I need to get better at. Well, a number of things that I always need to get better at, but is I don't, I want to make it really clear. I'm presenting this information. You can take it or you can leave it. I am not attacking your faith, your religion, or anything. I'm just presenting information. I think if you have faith in something, as I think I said at the top of this session, is that's wonderful. If it keeps you warm and it gives you purpose and it gives you comfort,
Yeah,
do
but you
that.
know what, Claire, they're not going to hear that if you're threatening their paradigm. The
Yeah,
one, they're not even going to hear you say that.
no, it's true. And I think that's, I've been called, what was one of the comments was, you speak so nicely and so softly, but you have the tongue of a serpent. And I
Oh,
was like,
yes,
oh,
I saw that comment.
I was like, oh, okay. And this sort of questioned my my belief systems. And I really tried to be clear that I don't fall one way or another. I have my internal beliefs, which are mine.
Mhm.
I don't want to say, well, you must have mine now. You must believe in what I believe. Not at all. I have a genuine interest. And as I said, there is a synergy across so many religions, that the truth within that is about love and connection.
Mm.
And that's it for me. It's nurturing, understanding our love and our connection to each other, regardless of faith, regardless of creed, regardless of where you're from. Don't allow the powers that be, because there are, to infiltrate your mind, to turn you against your neighbors rather
Yeah,
than looking up. And I suppose that's, yes, that's heretical. Yes, that might make me a witch. That, because these are some of the things I hear. I'm like, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. I had a partner who called me a Fenian. And he wasn't saying it in a horrible way. He was saying, jokingly, you're a Fenian, because he was from the north of Ireland and obviously was
and
Protestant.
what is Fenian? I'm not sure that
Well, so
I know
in
or that an
in
audience would know.
in certain parts of the UK and Ireland, might have to be careful about this, but obviously you've got the Protestants versus the Catholics, and I'm not going to get into that because that's very dark territory. But Fenian was considered to be a slur for Catholics,
Oh, okay.
but the real meaning of Fenian was an ancient warrior.
Hmm.
And I'm like, you can call me that, and I'll own
I'll
that
take
too.
it.
I'll own that too. So this is my point of how language has been distorted and weaponized.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can only accept that that might be someone's intention to give me a slur, but I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with that though, because I know what that means. So
Yeah,
I own that. So
that's power.
that can be troubling, but overwhelmingly, the people have been, the audience and the people out in the world have been really positive, because I think the veil is thinning. People are seeing, people are questioning more. And what we don't need is another guru telling us how to think or what to think, because that's just replacing one system with another. I think this is this time now, and we're in a really good time where people are saying, actually, I want to follow my own beliefs. I want to do the work myself. I want to, and that's all I would ever encourage. Go and research this yourself, but don't just look at it with one lens. If there's anything prescriptive, I would say don't look at it with one lens, look at it with several lenses, because nothing is black and white. And I think the idea of polarization in our communities is to try to make things black and white. You're suffering because of what they did. And that's so easy, isn't it?
So
Because then you
easy.
feel so easy, and then you can feel really righteous when you're, you know, digging at that person.
It's like
And
your most recent video
the
about
shadow,
the
yeah,
need for the enemy, right? The need for.
yes, yeah, and it's almost like it's planted for us sometimes. That social identity piece, and Rene Girard, and all that we need someone to be the scapegoat, and perhaps we do, but why? And
Mm.
can we change that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the answer.
So when you were talking about the Cathars, the
Yes.
whole thing with them was that we don't need an intermediary,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And some of the quotes that I was hearing in my head, like what you bring forth from within will save you, but what you don't will be your destruction. That's in one of the not
Yes.
Gospels, correct?
Yes.
And then that our power must be expressed, and that the kingdom is within. And
Yeah.
then that meaning of heresy, which
Yeah.
is opting out,
It's alternative choice.
alternative choice. That's opting out. And
Yeah.
for me too, like listening to your videos, it's like it makes all these things click for me too, like what's happening in the world. And
Yeah.
so when I was watching that video, it was like, yeah, it just put so many things together. In another video about the Watchers,
Yes.
it seems like the Watchers are warning us not to interfere with the natural unfolding of things, which is
Yeah.
our tendency is we look out and we see things going wrong or that we want to control or fix even.
Mm.
And it seems like their warning, they got involved, right? And it ended up
Mm.
being a corruption because
Mm.
they weren't supposed to get involved.
Mm.
For me, like it spoke to a lot of my experiences in non-duality and meditation and that kind of side of things.
Mm.
Do you see that parallel? And could you interpret that as like a warning to let things unfold as opposed to want to fix or protest or
Yeah.
here, here?
I know there's so many aspects. So obviously the Book of Enoch and the Book of Watches within Enoch, or the Dead Sea Scrolls, and the Ethiopian Bible. Prior to that book, there was another book or another tablet, another teaching, based the Sumerian texts, and I'm gonna do a piece on that because again, you think it's something, you go, okay, that's solid, and then you search a little bit more, and then there's something else behind it, and you're like, and they had a different interpretation of the watches. The watches were
Of
actually
course.
teachers,
Of course. Yeah.
and again, the reason for that is the political. So the people that were under this, like these Sumerian texts, were they were at war with with the people in Mesopotamia, and when they finally sort of released and they created their own version of the watches, but they turned them into something else. Okay, the warning, they turned them into the warning. So you've got one great sort of empire with these wonderful teachers of everything, and then the people who were suppressed underneath that empire took something away and then rewrote something, and they became the corruption. Okay, so that's important to look at in context when you look at these texts. I think then when you can look at, and I'm not a quantum mechanical person, my brain, it gets very warped, but so I have to think about it in really simplest terms, that something only becomes when it's observed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it melts my brain. To go down these rabbit holes. That something only becomes once it's observed. So with the watches, why would an all-seeing God need the watchers to watch anyway? Why? And unless it was a part of that their observation allowed it to become. So if their observation, had they not intervened, it would have just become. And the watches were divine in some way, shape, or form. So you would hope that with that they would have just become and evolved. But they did intervene, and they did bring this corruption. And so my question was like, well, why weren't we privy to this knowledge? Why weren't we ready? Why weren't we? What weren't we good enough? What were they scared of? And I think it boils down to, in my simplistic way of thinking about things, is anything that we get, anything that we learn, can be used for good and not
Mhm.
so good. All of
Mhm.
these skills that we have, um, and that's our autonomy. That's our inner that chooses how to interpret something. So I don't necessarily think that when the watch is brought down, makeup, cosmetics, astrology, or whatever it was necessarily a bad, bad learning, bad teaching, corrupt. It's on the individual on how we use that, and that's the same with anything, any power that's given. How are you going to use that power? We see billionaires and trillionaires. How are they using it to benefit society or not?
And
um
AI, and this is very topical to what's going on with AI right now.
yeah,
What are your have you delved into some of the connections there that you're
yeah.